evening, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Ashish Gupta. I'm the founder of this venture, and I have Naveen Roy with me, who is co-founder. Without any further delay, let me introduce you the India's first ever doorstep refueling services. We call ourselves My Petrol Pump. The venture has been widely recognized by Government of India, widely awarded also by Government of Karnataka with a grant of 20 lakhs. Quick snapshot. This venture has a very attractive market, addressable market that we're trying to serve. Over 20,000 crore, which is going to be even bigger in next 2 decades, 4-fold to even 8-folds. We are first movers in this space. Although we have very optimistic visions, but we are very realistic, and our realistic goals to achieve in the next 5 years are somewhere close to 18,000 crore rupees, which we think are reasonable. Next one. Why My Petrol Pump? 36% of India's electricity in urban localities, as you may not know, is just produced by diesel gensets that we all run in, either in our apartments, even sitting here, probably if the electricity is not there, it is all provided by diesel gensets. Next. 74 million liters loosely carried in India daily by jerry cans, dabba, which not only puts these people at risk, but also people around them. 20 million liters, $20 million worth of dead mileage that happens for the equipments, large fleet that needs to go to the fuel stations to fill up. And on top of it, we require more than double the number of fuel stations we have in India now to solve our growing demand of problem. How do we address it? We have come up with this solution, which not only going to solve these problems, but also going to address the problems which will become even worse in the future. A very simple solution, couple of clicks on your mobile phone, and a mobile fuel station comes to your doorsteps to fill up your car or genset, just like it's done at the fuel stations. You would think, what's in it for us, especially from the investors? The market size is so big that even if there are 10 competitors, the slice of the pie to share is more than enough to keep us happy and keep moving. The colorful slices of the pie are our targeted market. We are focusing B2B, which is more than enough for us to last 40 years. Next. How we make money, that is the most important question. I mean, everything is nice, we are solving the problems, and we have a solution, but at the end of the day, I mean, if there's no money, then it becomes just a nice concept. Today, we have been operational for almost 3 months. We have served 500 customers and 600 orders. 28% profit margin as we're sitting today, when we are operating only 25% of our capacity. And we believe, and we, as per our estimate, if we were to utilize our 100% capacity, we are sitting at 80% margin. Not a single hyperlocal delivery model, business model in India or anywhere else in the world would give you 80% margins. Next, please. Where are we now? As I said, 3 months down the line already in operations, not a single penny spent on the marketing, and we have 100% monthly growth. These are the inbound customer, people who have these perennial problems, and we have come up as a masiha with a solution for their problems. Next. Where do we want to be? As I said, we have huge visions, but realistic figures. We want to take one step at a time, and our next goal is to achieve 200,000 liters in a day in Bangalore. And as we go along, we'll increase our capacity and expand our operations to other cities, and also all the way to the rural areas. What would it need to take us where we want to be? 2 things, the very strong team and support from our investors. The team side, we have already nailed it. I myself, from ex-Shell, have worked for Shell 9 years, fully aware of the domain, the petroleum projects development. I have led the teams, and I have with me Operation Group, Naveen, and with little bit support from you to take us from where we are now to the next level. We need about 9 crore rupees to scale our operations in Bangalore. The next. And that's all I have. For more details, I would like to connect with all of you, whoever is interested, personally, where I can spend more time to share more details. Thank you so much.
What's your scaling strategy geographically? Is it your own fleet, or is it a franchise model that you're looking at?
I'm sorry, I could not hear.
Are you looking at a franchise model to go nationally, or is it your own fleet nationally?
Good question. So we don't plan to serve all the available market in India. We want to first position ourselves strategically in the locations like urban localities, tier 1, tier 2 cities, where people are equipped with the technology that we want them to use, for example, smartphones or the websites and etc. For the rural or the suburban areas where people are not equipped with this, we will explore the franchisee model where there's a lot of local knowledge and local content is required, and we believe that the local franchisee owners could help us on that.
So just to add, there is a place called Machilipatnam in Chennai. So we have got an inquiry from Machilipatnam in Chennai where the fishing boats are filled, and per day diesel requirement for their boat is 150,000 liters. And these fishermen actually are struggling to get their boats filled with the diesel. So that's a huge market. So there we would possibly consider the franchisee model.
Thank you.
Oh, hello. What are the safety and precautionary methods you use? What are the safety and precautionary measures you use, and how do you ensure the end use of the petrol or diesel? It can be hazardous as well.
Absolutely, very good question actually, and that question has been asked by a lot of people. So this is actually for us sort of an education process for our stakeholders that we have been doing. Safety, I mean, this is where our strength hit. You may ask why nobody has done it in the past. For the same reason, because people had not developed the technology that was required to really make this delivery experience absolutely safe, even safer than how it's done at the petrol pump. And we have spent almost 2 years of time in developing the technology that we need. We can share the details, what are those, to ensure that the safety is not compromised. We have been even invited by the Petroleum Ministry and Commerce Ministry to make a presentation there to share the technology we have developed and how we can help in terms of meeting the demand in the long run, on this. So, and highly appreciated on that. We can share the details if you can, please. Yeah. Sure.
So the safety technology makes the major entry barrier in this business, or do you have any other?
Absolutely. Our technology that we have developed is one of our strength and the barrier that we have created for our potential competitors to come in. I can give you a couple of names: anti-siphoning mechanism, anti-adulteration fuel prevention systems, fuel monitoring systems, and auto-order placement. These are a couple of the jargons that we have created for the technological equipments that we have integrated with these delivery vehicles that you see, which gives end-to-end pilferage proof, quality adulteration proof, safety proof experience to our customers. These are the barriers we spend significant time.
So just to add, we challenge, our tankers are so safe, the refuelers, what we call, that if you put these refuelers onto a fire, the fuel inside the tank won't burn.
Thank you. That's how we so confident when we talk about it. Thank you, Naveenji.
But what about the end use, like the commercial aspect or the personal use? Are they using it in the right direction or not? How do you ensure that?
Can you please repeat?
The end use of the product and diesel.
Absolutely. So end use, as I said, I mean, we are solving here a need of the people rather than we're trying to sell, a fancy product or something. So end use, as I said, like India's electricity, huge electricity, production requirement that is going to met by the diesel fuel. And if you see the International Energy Agency IEA report or the projection of the Petroleum Ministry, the fuel today we are consuming in India is going to be fourfold in next 20 years. We talk about electric vehicles as our alternative sources, but the reality is, if you see what are our projections are, what are our strengths, what are our current resources, or what are the resources we have in our pipeline for the next 2 decades, diesel, petrol are going to be the reality and going to be the primary source of energy that somebody has to supply in a cost-effective and a safer and optimum way.
Just to add to on that point, so from 4 perennial problems which we are solving through this for our end customers. Number 1, safety. Because currently it is carried into the plastic dabba and jerry cans, which is not safe. Second is the convenience for the customer. For the apartment complexes, the support staffs have to run around. Commercial complexes, support staffs have to run around and all that. Third is the adulteration problem which we are solving, which is a well-known fact for any specific problem to India. And then the fuel theft. fuel theft is a normal problem, and there is no tight monitoring is involved. So we, like, every single drop of fuel is accounted for in our case, and that's where we are getting lots of appreciation from and feedback from our customers. Then they are saving hugely, whereas they are spending just 1 rupee per liter as a delivery or convenience fee.
What's the target percentage utilization of your truck in a, not right now, but let's say the whole of Bangalore, that'll ensure that you can make the numbers?
So right now we are target. We are at. I mean, operational scale. If you are asking, we are at almost nothing, minuscule level actually. We plan to tap into almost 20% of the Bangalore market to serve, if that is your question, if I understood correctly.
No, the question is, what is the target utilization, percentage utilization of your trucks? If your trucks are just sitting there in the yard and doing nothing, you're not earning money. So it's like cabs, right? I mean, unless you have a certain percentage of utilization, you're not making money. So what is your target utilization? Because especially when you scale, that's going to become extremely important. Because if you have 100 trucks, out of which only 10 trucks are doing 10 hours a day, right? So you must have some idea what should be the target utilization of a truck for you to make the numbers.
Today we are operating at 28% and we are still operational positives. And if I answer it, it's 8% only. That's why I say, I mean, even if we have such a low operation capacity utilization, we're still making money. And that's what, I mean, from the investor's point of view, if they think that if a business is operational positive just at 8%, I mean, where else could you go? We're doing really good. We can share those details as to how this 8% number adds up, if you could provide us your contact details.
So just to cover entire Bangalore, 30% of the market need, we plan to deploy 75 refuelers.
Hello?
I'm not sure if you answered the question, please.
Yeah. I think that there is some regulatory obstruction in this. Can you just highlight what is the regulatory obstruction in your way?
Okay. This is also a very good question, and I was expecting for this question. So I would say the regulatory obstruction is more of a mindset barrier that we have, because we have always seen this market being controlled by the government. And it is true, 96% of the market share is owned by the public sector companies. It's not the regulatory obstruction, it's more of a understanding of where are my regulatory boundaries within which I can operate upon. I mean, we all know that every new innovation does not fit in our existing old colonial rules. Petroleum Rules Act was written in 1934. That needs to be revamped. Just like, I mean, we are in the same situation, actually we are much better situation, but I can draw a parallel like when Ola and Uber started, they also felt the same. There was no, disclaimer or any, mention of one could, what regulation or guideline one could use if somebody is developing an app-based aggregator services. So that's where we are now. We're trying to sort of, change the paradigm, change the way of, fueling our needs as long as fuel is concerned. We have found a way. So we have had several interactions with the government. Government has appreciated, government has allowed us, and we are a fully legal entity, a fully compliant entity. We have been operating successfully, and we want to do it more. And that's why we've been recognized and awarded. There are certain complexities in terms of regulatory understanding, and that is another reason a lot of key companies probably may have thought of this idea, but they have not done it, because we have spent almost 1.5 years in understanding the regulatory framework. I tell you, there's a Petroleum Rules, there's a Petroleum Act, there are OISD standards, then there are so many other guidelines that you have to go through, and I have read them just like Bibles. I have never read a Ramayana, but I can tell you I have read Petroleum Rules, which is about 2,000-page document, for almost 10 times. So understanding of those things and finding a way out to achieve your vision, to achieve your objective has been our prime.
Just one last question. You mentioned 20 years, right? So my question is that how do you plan the sustainability of your venture? Beyond 20 years, what?
So when I say 20 years, I'm not trying to be very optimistic. We are not going to exit after 20 years. This business is going to last more than 50 years. As we talk about, I have worked for Shell, and I know the resource situation, whether India is placed, whether the global is placed, and we are still good to go for the next 50 years. If you see the demand projection, probably it's the last slide in backup. we are going to have be using the fuel 4 times than we use today, sitting 20 years down the line. And if I talk about 50 years, you can do the calculations.
And then we will evolve accordingly based on the needs of the market.
So you didn't mention that plan at all. Like, as you evolve, what would that be?
Yeah, so good to read. One book you would have read. It's excellent.
We-
Any company has to last or survive 100 plus years. So that plan we have.
What are the
We can share our vision, yeah, please.
technology you are using? Because you mentioned you have an app. I am thinking there would be a geolocation and what the number of cars you have and number of petrol, the liter of petrol usage and all. Some technology usage.
So technology, as mentioned quickly, I mean the whole engineering work we have done to bring this brick and mortar petrol pump onto wheel. So compact that it can go literally any place wherever car can go. That's how we have designed it, so that we can reach out to as many customers, places as possible. And all the technological innovation to prevent the pilferage, the adulteration, the safety, and also giving the added convenience. All these things are our differentiators, and also the barriers for the other companies to come in that will help us to grow very fast. And any additional questions? I think
no more question, please.
Okay.
We are.
Thank you so much. You have been
Yeah.
patient and very wonderful audience. Thank you so much.